Hello everyone, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and I'm back today with another tutorial with contents that are included in the new Orchid Oasis collection that is brought to you by Eureka Crystal Beads. This pendant is a brand new design using exclusively beads from that collection. As you can see, we are going to be using some of the Toho 80 Demi rounds, the Miyuki drops in the 2.8mm size, some 3mm fire polish, some SuperDuos, and then of course the star of the show is that pink opal 13 by 18mm emerald cut crystal stone. I'll also show you how I am attaching a wire guard to the back of this piece to add to a piece of chain. But of course, you don't need to use that. You can always make a loop of beads or finish off your piece any way you like and attach it to not only chain, but also ribbon, cord, all sorts of different things. Today, I'll be using a size 12 beading needle just to get through some of the tighter spaces a little bit more easily, and some 6-pound Fireline. It'll take about 5 to 6 feet of that in order to complete this piece today. Besides that, of course, you'll just need some jewelry pliers and scissors. I'll leave the link to the Orchid Oasis collection right down below the video if you want to check that out if you haven't already. And of course, a full materials list for everything that you see here that you'll need to make one of these pendants with the products linked at eurekacrystalbeads.com. So if you're ready to get started, you can get out your materials and thread your beading needle, and we will jump into this tutorial. So the first thing we want to do is we want to pick up 4 SuperDuos. And you can bring these down on your thread, leave yourself about a 5-inch tail, something you can weave back in later. And you're going to take your needle and you're going to go back through all 4 of those SuperDuos again through the same hole that you had gone through before. And just holding on to that tail thread while you pull, you can then start to join these into a loop. As you can see, we need to go through one more to form that into a complete loop. So go through that first one again. And then when you pull, you end up with a shape like this. So we need to move over to one of these outer holes so we can keep adding on to it. I'm going to also go ahead and make a little half hitch knot right here in the corner before we move on, just to keep this in place without having to use a stop bead or anything. And don't worry if the beads don't sit at quite a 90-degree angle at first, it will all come together. So I'm coming out of this area right here, that's where I made that little knot, and I'm just going to go up through the inner hole there of the SuperDuo. And remember, the goal is to get to the outer hole. Now I'm going to step up, as they say, and go through the outer hole, and that will position us to add on our next unit of beads. So now we have one of those little arms in place. We just need to pick up 3 more for this next unit. So you can pick up 3 more SuperDuos, and then you want to go down through that outer hole of the bead that you're currently exiting from. And you end up with something like this. My thread is coming out of what is now the inner hole of this SuperDuo, and we want to go ahead and move over to the right through the next bead. And we need to get to the outer hole of this bead, so we need to be coming out from here. And to do that, we're just going to follow our thread path, go up through the inner hole of that bead. And now we can do that step up. And go through the outer hole and repeat. So again, 3 SuperDuos. We'll go down through that arm, through the same hole that we were exiting. And we need to scoot over to the right, so we'll go through that inner hole of the next SuperDuo. And then go up the one on the right. And then pull this tight as you go. And again, the goal being to be coming out of this hole here on the end of this SuperDuo chain that we're forming. And then we're in position to add more. So we're going to end up with a chain that is going to consist of 9 units, and then we're going to bring those 9 units together from a strip into a loop. So keep going until you have a chain with 9 SuperDuos hanging out on the side, and then we'll continue on with next steps. All right, so once you have 9 units, you can go ahead and count each one of these. Make sure you have 9. We're going to bring these into a ring, and I do want to mention too that I already put a needle on my tail thread and wove that back in and have clipped that off. So I definitely recommend getting that out of the way if you want to do that before moving on, and it certainly helps for the video. That way you don't have to wonder what that thread is getting in the way. So I'm coming out from the bottom right now of this SuperDuo on the end, and we need to be coming out of the hole that is on the end. So I'm just going to step up there. That way we're on the end, and we want to join this into a ring. So we need to complete our unit here that's going to be sitting on this end and bringing the two together. So we'll start that out by picking up 1 SuperDuo, and then on that other end, you're going to go down through the SuperDuo, and then sometimes I like to hold this in my finger like that so I can hold down that new bead that we just added. Coming down out of the hole on the right hand side of this SuperDuo, and we need to pick up 1 more. So pick 1 up and then go up through the SuperDuo that is on the other side. So we're just joining these 2 ends together to form a complete unit. We had to add our upper bead and our lower bead, and now I'm just reinforcing this a little bit by going through the inner holes of this unit of 4. That way it's held together a little bit tighter. And if your beadwork is a little bit loose right now, it's okay, because we are going to tighten it up as we go. The main thing is that you want all of these in place. So we have our ring of SuperDuos just like this. And now we're going to form what will be the bottom of our bezel. So first what we need to do is we need to get to one of these outer holes, which is going to be forming a ring around the bottom of our beadwork. And I'm coming out of this one here. And so I'm going to follow the thread path, which means going through that inner hole. And then I can step through the outer hole of the SuperDuo and be coming out of that top section. And we're going to be adding beads in between these SuperDuos. The first bead we're going to add is one of our little Toho Demi rounds. So you'll pick 1 up and then go through the outer hole of the next SuperDuo. Then your next bead is going to be one of your 3mm. So you can pick that up, and then you'll go through the outer hole of the next SuperDuo. And then pick up a Toho Demi round, go through the next SuperDuo. So next we want to pick up a 3mm, go through the next SuperDuo, pick up another 3mm and go through the next SuperDuo. And this is where you will repeat what we just did. So you pick up a Demi round, go through the next SuperDuo, This time you'll just pick up one 3mm and go through the next SuperDuo. Pick up a Toho, go through the SuperDuo, and then in the remaining 2 sections you'll be putting a fire polish in each of those. And this will start to make more sense as you go and as this all comes together. So with the last section that I'm filling in with a fire polish, I'm going to go through the SuperDuo, but I'm also going to go through this entire ring of beads once again just to reinforce this bottom section. So go through that SuperDuo and just continue around through all the beads till you go through a little bit past where you started, a few beads at a time. So far you can see I have something like this. And these little arms are going to be wrapping around the top of our crystal. And this will be sitting at the bottom. All right, so now your bottom ring should be reinforced and it should be a lot tighter than it was, making sure that you had tightened the thread as you went around again. I stopped right here at this SuperDuo. I'm coming out of that hole down there, and I want to weave my way up to the inner hole of this SuperDuo so that we're on this layer of holes basically. So I'm just going to follow the thread path. I'm going to go through the inner hole of the same SuperDuo. I'm now going to go up through the next SuperDuo, and that's going to lead me out of that inner hole of the SuperDuo in this next ring. And at this point, you're ready to pick up one of your drop beads, and then another SuperDuo, and a drop bead, and then head through the inner hole of the next SuperDuo. So you're gonna have something like that. And then you're going to pick up 4 of your Demis and then go through the inner hole of the next SuperDuo. Then we're at a corner again. Each of those little pink beads represents a corner, and this is going to become kind of rectangular since we're working with that sort of emerald cut shape. So next we are at another corner. We can pick up another drop bead, SuperDuo, and drop bead, and go through the next SuperDuo. Again, we're working with the inner holes at this point, and then we're going to work with the final round of holes. Now that we're on this side, we'll pick up 2 Demis, going through the next SuperDuo. Pick up 2 more. Through the next. Let's do our corner again. Drop bead, SuperDuo, drop bead. Through the SuperDuo. Now we're at this end, so we want to pick up 4 Demis. And then through our SuperDuo. And finish this up symmetrically, just like we've done it here. So we're at a corner again. And this will tighten up as you go as well. You don't have to worry about pulling this super tight yet. We want to have our crystal in place so that we can really tighten it up at that point. What you will notice is this is starting to take on more of that cup shape so that you can put a crystal in there. And I'm at my last section. I'm going to go through the SuperDuo. I'm also going to head through the drop, the next SuperDuo, the next drop. Make sure you get the holes of all of those beads. I'm also going to go through the next SuperDuo, and that will help us to be in position for the next step. This is what we have so far. And we can go ahead and take our beautiful crystal and place that right inside. And as we are doing the next step, we can start to tighten our beadwork right around that crystal. So we need to get to that outer set of holes on the SuperDuos at the top. And I'm coming out currently right there at that inner hole of this SuperDuo. So we can just step up, going in the opposite direction of that same bead. And then we can pick up a Demi and go through the outer hole of the next SuperDuo that's on that corner. Pick up another Demi, go through the outer hole of the next SuperDuo, then pick up a 3mm, go through the next SuperDuo, want another 3mm, going through the next, pick up another Demi and get the next SuperDuo. And you want to make sure that those drops are sitting underneath the Demi. So go ahead and push that down if you need to. Pick up another Demi through the next SuperDuo. Then a 3mm. It's going to sit on that shorter section. Then we're at a corner again, so we need to do our Demis. Going through the next SuperDuo there with my second one. Then we need to make this all match up, so we're going to do 2 fire polish, 1 in place here, and then 1 more in our next section. Turn that a little bit and start pulling all of this together. Picking up a Demi since we're in this last corner. And another one. There we go, it's starting to tighten up a little bit. And then we need 1 more of our 3mm to go in this last section. And at this point, I'm also going to travel through the next SuperDuo that I get to right there. And then I'm going to tighten up this center section, and I'm actually going to be skipping the Demis that are sitting at the corner. So when you get to a corner, just skip the Demi, go through the SuperDuos. And that will help you tighten this up even further around your crystal. So again, heading in this direction, going to skip that Demi and just go through the SuperDuo. Skip the next Demi, just go through the SuperDuo. You can continue on through the 3mm and your next SuperDuo section. And tighten that up good as you go. Now we're at a corner again, so we'll skip the Demi. Go through the SuperDuo, skipping the Demi, going through the next one and through the 3mm and the SuperDuo. Again, pulling this nice and tight and getting that shape to hug the crystal below. And continue on at least once more so that you've done at least 1 more full loop plus a little bit more to really tighten that up. All right, so once you've reinforced the center section, I went to the point where I'm coming out of this hole here of the SuperDuo that's on this corner just past these 4 Demi rounds. That positions me to where I can then step through the other hole of that same SuperDuo to get back on that layer where the demi rounds are. And I'm also going to go through the 2 demi rounds. So I'm basically just following my thread path to the point where I can be coming out in between these 2 sets of 2 demis, and that's where I'm going to pick up another drop. I'm going to go through the next 2 demis and also through the next SuperDuo. And you can go through the next drop bead, SuperDuo, and drop bead. I'm coming out right here. But basically we want to get a little drop there right at the top in between these demis, 2 on each side. Then you can proceed through the next SuperDuo and the next demi. And we can pick up another demi and then go through the next demi, SuperDuo, and demi. I'm going to go through both of these and then back up because my needle doesn't want to go through just one. And so we're adding an extra demi in between these 2. And that's going to help us tighten up our bezel a little bit too. So I'm picking up another demi, going through the next demi, and then going through the beads on the corner to get back over to that next section where there's 4 demis, which is where we're going to be adding our drop in the middle. Got through that SuperDuo there. My needle's coming out underneath that thread, so I'm just going to back it up a little bit. And now we'll go through the first 2 and pick up a drop, go through the second group, as well as the next beads on the corner. And you can see what we have so far. We have 1 bead on each end, that drop we added, and then we have the addition of the demis over here, and we're going to add another demi in between each of these 2 groups of 2. So just continue on, going through the SuperDuo and the next demi. You can pick up another demi, go through the next to get to the middle of that section, picking up another demi, and then on through the beads. Pull nice and tight. So at this point our beadwork is pretty much done unless you wanted to add some additional seed beads down here. I don't think it's really necessary, and I actually like that kind of open look, but that is totally just your preference. And if you feel like your piece could use some additional tightening, you can just use your remaining thread and go around your piece and pull everything nice and tight to give yourself a secure bezel. Now you also have the option, if you'd like to add on a wire guard, which you can attach to some chain or some cord or a ribbon and attach your beadwork that way. Or you can make yourself a loop of beads that sits at the top. It's totally up to you how you want to do that. In this example, I'm simply going to be adding a wire guard right behind this peak right here, and I'll use that to attach to my chain. So coming out of this SuperDuo here, that inner hole, I'm just going to follow the thread path back this way, and then through the SuperDuo that's back here, and then going in the opposite direction again through this hole so that I can be coming out on this ring of beads at the back and place a wire guard right here, which is going to kind of line up with the center top of this piece. All right, so if you want to add a wire guard to the back of your piece or simply a loop of beads, maybe use those demi rounds if you want to. I'm just going to kind of mirror what I have here at the front of the piece. So I'm going to pick up 2 demis. I'm going to go up through this wire guard, pull those down. I'm going to go through the next side of the wire guard and make sure the thread sits in there. Pick up 2 more demis. And then I'm gonna go through the hole of the SuperDuo that's on the other side. And those beads and the wire guard are in place, as you can see. And then I'm just gonna take my needle and I'm gonna go around and reinforce those beads in that wire guard section. So I've gone around my wire guard again. I'm coming out of this SuperDuo and I'm just going to continue on through the thread path a little bit, maybe tighten up some of these SuperDuos on the side to make the bezel even more secure. And I will then also knot and tie off my thread. So keep doing that with any remaining thread that you might have, and then we can take a step back and admire our work. So here is a look at the pendant all tightened up and the wire guard and the chain added to that with a jump ring. Here's a look at the back so you can compare that to the one that you made, make sure all that's nice and tight. And definitely a tip for you to go back through that sort of right angle weave step that we did at first with the SuperDuos. If you go around those inner holes of each of those groups of 4, that will really tighten up your bezel nicely around that stone if you find that you still need to do that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Feel free to leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you plan to give this a try or if you plan to try it in a different colorway or anything else you'd like to say. As a reminder, I will have the full list of materials right down below the video, including the link to the Orchid Oasis collection from Eureka Crystal Beads, and all the items listed out separately if you wanted to pick up some of these bead shapes outside of the collection. Feel free to give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button while you're here. I'd love to have you back for future videos and tutorials. Big thank you to you all for joining me today. I'll see you guys again real soon. Until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading.